There was once a shepherd boy, young, maybe 12 or 13, who spent his days on the hillside just outside the village. Every morning he'd lead the sheep up the winding path, through the low stone wall that marked the edge of the fields, and out into the long grass where the hills rolled gentle and green. And every day was the same. The sheep grazed. The sun moved slow across the sky. The boy sat with his crook in his hand, watching clouds drift past, listening to the buzz of flies and the distant clang of the blacksmith's hammer down in the valley. And he was bored. Deeply, terribly, achingly bored. He wanted something to happen. Anything. He wanted to see the villagers run, to see faces turn from calm to alarm, to be the center of something important. So one afternoon he got to his feet, cupped his hands around his mouth, and shouted down toward the village with all the force he could gather. "Wolf! Wolf! There's a wolf! He's attacking the sheep!" Now you have to understand, the villagers knew what a wolf meant. A wolf meant dead sheep, lost lambs, ruin for a family. So when they heard that cry, they dropped what they were doing. The farmer left his plow. The baker wiped his hands on his apron. The women gathering water at the well set down their pots. They grabbed whatever they could. Pitchforks, axes, stout wooden sticks, and they ran. Up the path, through the gate, scrambling up the hillside, hearts pounding. When they reached the top, out of breath and red-faced, they found the boy doubled over with laughter. There was no wolf. The sheep were grazing peacefully, lifting their heads now and then with mild confusion. The boy was pointing at them, tears in his eyes, laughing so hard he could barely stand. The villagers did not laugh. They stood there for a moment, catching their breath, looking at each other. Then one by one they turned and walked back down the hill. Nobody said a word. But the boy didn't think much of it. The next day the boredom crept back. The same hillside, the same sheep, the same slow sun. And he thought, well, why not again? It worked once. So again he stood up, again he cupped his hands, and again he shouted louder this time. "Wolf! Wolf! It's a wolf! Please someone hurry!" And again the villagers came running. Not quite as many this time. A few stayed behind, shaking their heads. But still, a good number of them grabbed their tools and ran up that hill, ready to defend the flock. And when they reached the top, out of breath once more, there was the boy. Laughing. Pointing. No wolf. Just a boy who thought it was the funniest thing in the world. This time the anger was sharper. One of the men, old Elias, I think his name was, pointed a finger at the boy and said, "You keep crying wolf when there is no wolf, and one day there will be a wolf and nobody will come." Then they left. And the boy, for a moment, felt a small twist of shame in his stomach. But he was young, and the moment passed, and the sheep kept grazing, and the sun kept moving, and he forgot about it. Then came the third day. The boy was sitting on the grass, carving a piece of wood with his pocket knife, when he heard it. A low guttural growl from behind the gorse bushes. His head snapped up. And then he saw them. 2 yellow eyes. A low, shaggy shape, shoulders hunched, moving slowly toward the sheep. A wolf. Real. Close. Already lowering its head, muscles coiling. The boy scrambled to his feet. His heart slammed against his ribs. He opened his mouth and screamed. Not a trick. Not a game. A scream that tore out of him from somewhere deep, raw and desperate. "Wolf! Wolf! Please, it's really a wolf! Please somebody help!" His voice echoed down the hillside, across the fields, into the village. He waited. He listened. The wolf took a step closer. The sheep began to scatter. Down in the village people heard him. They paused. A woman looked up from her garden. A man stacking wood straightened his back. They listened to the boy's voice crack with panic, and they looked at each other. And then slowly they turned back to what they were doing. Some of them shook their heads. Some sighed. The boy watched the hillside path, waiting for the line of villagers to appear. Nobody came. He screamed again, louder this time, until his throat burned. But the path remained empty. The wolf got what it came for. By the time the boy made his way down to the village, shaking and silent, the sheep were scattered and 3 were gone. He stood at the edge of the village, saying nothing. And the villagers, they didn't say much either. There wasn't any anger left. Just a quiet kind of sadness. You see, the boy learned that day that trust is a fragile thing. It takes time to build. Day after day of showing up. Doing what you said you'd do. Being honest when it's easy and when it's hard. but it can be broken in 2 shouts. And once broken, it's not easily mended. Because when the moment comes when you truly need someone to believe you, they won't be listening to your words anymore. They'll be listening to what you've already shown them. The boy went back to tending sheep after that. He never cried wolf again. But sometimes, on quiet afternoons, he'd look down at the village and wonder if they'd ever really hear him the same way again. And the answer, I think, was probably not.